In the red corner, standing at 6 feet 3 inches tall and boasting a bodybuilding frame of 230 pounds of pure London muscle, it's the hard-hitting Frank Bruno. Frank would be coming into this fight, putting the Tim Witherspoon loss to bed, bouncing back in knockout fashion. In the opposite corner was a towering figure that stood tall. At 6 feet 4 and coming in at 256 pounds of old-school grit, it was the one and only Joe Bugner. This legend of the sport would be coming in with 80 fights to his name and facing fighters such as Muhammed Ali and smoking Joe Frazier. It's safe to say Big Joe Bugner was no stepping stone. Before they shared a ring in 1987, Frank Bruno and Joe Bugner were two of Britain and the Commonwealth's most recognisable heavyweight boxers of the last 20 years. Though from very different generations and very different journeys to the top, these two fighters would have the same goal.
Bruno has done what he's been asked to do. Unfortunately, he may not have come up to the expectations of the critics and the fans. I went through that several years ago and still am, most probably.
I'm not even interested in what he's got to say. All I'm interested is when the 24th comes, I'm going to do a good job.
But I think the beauty about this fight is that we've got two naturals. Both of us are 6'4". Both of us are about 16.5 to 17 stone. So there'll be a lot of thumping on the 24th.
Frank Bruno, born in London in 1961, became a fan favourite due to his power, personality and boasting the biggest smile in the room. As an amateur, he claimed the ABA heavyweight title in 1980 before turning professional in 1981. He immediately captured attention by knocking out his first 21 opponents, including notable names like Scott Ledoux. Bruno's powerful physique and humble nature made him immensely popular, and the British public quickly embraced him as the nation's heavyweight hope. Bruno's first defeat came in 1984 against bone crusher Smith, a bout he was winning before being stopped late in the fight. However, Bruno bounced back impressively. In 1985, he claimed the European heavyweight title with a knockout win over Anders Eklund, then went on to challenge Tim Witherspoon for the WBA world title in 1986. If you're an old-school boxing fan, you will know Frank's dreams were shut down that night, along with the hopes of a boxing nation. But Frank, true to his nature and his fighting spirit, would come back with quick succession, fighting every man who could lace a set of gloves on the heavyweight scene. Joe Bugner, on the other hand, was a seasoned veteran by the time he faced Bruno. Born in Hungary in 1950 but raised in the UK and Australia, Bugner turned pro in 1967. He earned early recognition for his size, defensive skill and durability. Bugner fought the best heavyweights in the world during the 1970s. He faced Muhammad Ali twice and Joe Frazier once, losing all three bouts on points but gaining respect for his resilience and ring craft. In 1975, Bugner challenged Ali again for the world title in Kuala Lumpur. Though he lost, simply going the distance with Ali elevated his standing among boxing insiders. After a few years out of the ring, Joe would find himself back on the heavyweight circuit, fighting some of the biggest challengers in the world. Not winning all fights, but standing his ground and giving some tough names a good hiding. And that brings us to 1987. This fight wasn't for any title, but the winner was looking to go on and face the rising wrecking ball coming out of the Catskills Gym, New York City. The gate that night was record-breaking at White Hart Lane, Tottenham Football Club. Let's hope Frank and Joe would put on a show.
More needle than I've ever seen him before, and I've followed now Bugner for 20.
Every bit of strain and pressure in this fight tonight is on Bruno's shoulders.
Well, kidology can go a long way in boxing, but in the end you've still got to take the whack on the chin, but there's a stout chin. See, just the old flurry in Bugner, just the same, isn't it, Jim?
Those are not really fighter's punches, those are little, couple of times Bruno lands this big jab of his. We'll see.
Outdoor boxing, obviously. And the way it's going, and the steam is already showing now with the fork. After the bell, a little bit of needle.
With a sneaky sausage after the bell had rung, I think Big Joe would have been happy with how that round panned out. The round was pretty even with what was thrown and landed, but the awe of the rising star that was Frank Bruno was building. Joe not only stood his ground, but left his mark on the London fighter Let's hope they keep this pace.
Now we don't want to see Bugner as on 10 for his last fight with Page, so he's added quite a bit there. X-rated but really retreaded Australians, Americans I should say, in Australia, as we are close to the ring like this.
Bugner is trying to put Bruno. Look at this.
Who falls in a submission, thank you.
I think the main thing is, Reg, we're seeing plenty of action. Joe has...
Oh, he turned that punch right above the commentary position there.
They're going to be the most important punches in this fight. See, Bruno's just not getting out of the way of these jabs. He's going to be in trouble if he can't find a way.
Didn't he? You've got to respect that jab. And
what about carelessness from Bruno there? This is excellent boxing from Bruno. This is the best I have seen Bruno. Bugner under pressure without exerting too much energy himself, and this is what you have to do when you're in with an old top.
The second round would bring more action from both corners. Bruno looking to control the fight with his strategic jab, and Big Joe looking to take advantage of Frank's youth, roughing him up when the fight got up close and personal. 2 rounds in, great fight so far.
But this is certainly a good start from Bruno. Bugner has tried to intimidate him and it hasn't worked.
Anticipated, I thought they might be kind of looking at it, of course, with ITV and then £100 ringside. They wanted it anyway.
Bruno is boxing very well. He's got Bugner under pressure now all the time, but steady Bugner. And
youthful pressure on him. They just went there, and we covered those fights.
Well, the difference was, Reg, those were fighters slightly over the hill.
He's 26, Bruno. Seems as though he's been around longer than that. A good swipe there by Bruno. That got Bruno. He doesn't have to really remember Bugner. He's a known survivor.
Allowing Bugner to clinch all the time.
The third round would see Frank really stepping on the gas and letting his hands go, but Bugner would show his levels of ring maturity. He wasn't to be intimidated by a few flash hands. He would tie his man up just at the right time to see the barrage out, compose himself and catch his breath.
Bruno, if you forgive the boxing parlance, but old Joe will get in there and do his thing. This is what he does. I mean, when you're in the heat, so Joe's had it in 100 plus degrees. So as you say, Jim, Bruno now's got the right pattern, trying to keep control all the time. Doesn't want to burn himself out. He's obviously
in the contest. But he's doing the right thing here. He's keeping pressure on, breathing pretty heavy at the start of this round. So he doesn't have to keep him under pressure, keep him moving.
I thought Bruno might get him.
I've seen Bruno. He's not allowing Bugner. We know that. He's taking, when Joe pulls forward, Frank's taking a little step back and getting his own jab.
Oh, he's out thinking injured, eh?
The fourth round would bring more out from Bruno. He would be throwing hands and landing shots. But Big Joe would not let him have it all his way, moving out of range and fighting just enough to let him know he's still in the game. Bruno would need to open up just a tad more if he was looking to get his man out of there.
Round 5, and Bugner was up early for work there off the stall, run out of steam. But I mean, Witherspoon put different kind of power off, surely.
Well, also, we have to look for the Witherspoon fight to help Bruno here. The power there to make him pay for it. We know Frank's technique still. Big Joe complaining. That's a good sign for Bruno.
Keep quiet. But as you say, well, we've read and we've been trying to convince him that Bugner, all I can say is he's taken his fairest stick in there at the moment.
He went in with the best, but I never feel his heart was in the game. I never felt he...
I remember him at the Bedford Boys Club when he was at school's discus. Coming up 20 years now for his first...
Boxing to a plan. He wasn't putting too much power into his punches in the earlier round, more power into them when he sees the chance. I think he really is.
And
sorry.
We know because this has no real bearing on whether they're good enough to fight Mike Tyson.
See, I think that the main thing in
The referee that they think he's allowing Bugner to hold.
the fight at the moment, Bruno is managing to keep it at long range, which is not allowing Bugner. Joe pulls forward and pinning him on the jab.
On a bit too much and spoiled, but that's always been Bugner's game.
Round 5 saw Frank moving with menace and really trying to outwork his ageing opponent. But Joe Bugner would again do just enough to stay out of trouble, moving at the right time, clinching when needed and bringing the old dog out in a new fighter.
6, and there it is, 500 professional rounds and still going strong. World title, so he hasn't hung around. And the last one in London in the 9th round against Danny Sutton back in '83.
Bugner still is not finding the range with the jab, and Bruno is.
There weren't too many people who thought that Bruno was capable of doing that, and he's definitely the stronger puncher.
Yep. And
Surprisingly, with that toll of a left-hand piston punch coming in. In Bugner's own corner there, wondering now what sort of advice the corner will be giving him. Super spouse, I think, is really... Terry Lawless is banging on the cam.
spoiling tactics. That jab has dictated the fight all the way through. Bugner just can't get past it. He still, as we can see,
The 6th round would bring back and forth of jabbing from both fighters, but it seemed that it would only be Frank Bruno on target. Big Joe was looking like the pace of the fight was slowing him down. He would need to come out strong in the next couple of rounds if he was going to get something from this matchup.
7th round, and Bruno only for World Championship fights and European. And it really is 200. What is it? Remember, sole referee's decision. No judges on this one. That's 6 Bugner. Get stricken with a bit of athletic solidity when you get too big in this game. I mean, 30 normally is a great divide, isn't it, for heavyweights, and 37.
he's at his heaviest ever, over 18 stone trade, but he's never been able to get the initiative in the contest, feel the pressure. I don't think he's going to have a problem at all with his stamina.
That Postman's not punch out the double left hand, but as he did in his younger day. He's never been prancing around and flowing down a bit, hasn't he?
Yeah, well, it has to be expected. He has been the man under pressure at all times, professional. If he keeps at this level, then we can really say we have a world-class heavyweight.
Bruno, well, not so much in the ring, but certainly in the printed words. Pull this one off, then, well, he can be the big hero yet again. Embarrassing. I think he's just a bit lower than that.
The 7th round would bring more from the ageing champ. Joe Bugner had been fighting as a professional boxer almost as long as Frank Bruno had been alive. In that time, he had gone in with the best. This really was his 9 till 5. Win, lose or draw, the boxing world salutes your resilience to the sport.
12, with no championship, being my contention that every contest is an eliminator because with the same pattern, isn't he?
I think it's been because everything Frank has done tonight has been carefully controlled. It's been thought out that he's used a little bit of safety first, just grabbed the hold, and it's
the only time Frank Bruno has been the distance is a 10-rounder against the American force. To try and turn the clock back, Jim, as we've all got to turn them back later tonight. But
at the moment, but we still have to remember the quest steady, thumping in the old man yet, I would think.
The money and run, that's for sure. He's taking his shit. Is Jim, but that presumably the left hand
jab like that coming at him. If you look at his opponents over there, see, look.
Yeah, and he's down. Go down, Bugner. At that point, he didn't even put the knees on the punches, and that was a pretty brave effort of his. Perhaps foolish. 9 of the punches, and that was and he's going to let him box on. The towel has come in, And Bugner doesn't know why at that point, and he's tried, Jim, of staying on his feet. That I handed to him. He took a lot of...
And there we have it, the towel thrown in so the legend Joe Bugner could live to fight another night. A great win for Bruno and a great night for the London crowd. If you're an old school fight fan, be sure to give the subscribe button a stiff jab. I've been Frank Monroe here at Below the Belt Boxing. Take care.